I don't want it all, I just want enough, so why's it got to be so goddamn tough?
Is that recorded? Okay, so that's the intro to the podcast right there. There we go.
NPK. The NPK Show. NPK to all the listeners around the world. You're listening to NPK
Podcast 160. We're at the Autopot Festival. It's Sunday, and we're with Greg and Marissa from Revolution Micro. How are you?
Just peachy. How about you, man?
I'm very good. I'm a little bit tired. Friday, 2 o'clock. Saturday, 4 o'clock.
We should get up earlier. I mean, getting up at 2 in the afternoon. I mean, that's late. You know. I mean, we got up at 11. I mean, you know.
Lazy.
Yeah, it's tired.
It's almost like you flew all the way from America, drove all around London, up to Sheffield, back to London, up to the event. You've got no time to be lazy.
You know, it's true. It's true. We should really do better. Tomorrow I'm going to get up at 10. I'll do it.
That's good stuff. Right, for anyone that doesn't know Revolution Micro, they started with a double-ended light fixture, and to put it into a nutshell, the big benefits of Revolution Micro is the efficiency, square wave technology. So a lot of lights are competing on price points. Revolution decided they didn't want to compete on price points, they wanted to compete on quality of lights. However, also at the same price point of a lot of the industry standard double-ended lights. With Revolution, because they're so efficient, you're pulling less power from the wall and delivering more usable light to the plants.
It's true. The thing about it is people say stuff like that all the time. So what we did is we took it to CSA, Nationally Recognized Testing Lab, Canadian Standards Association, and said, here, you run the light test. You measure the power. Our ballast uses 22% less power than our nearest competitor for a DE. So you say, well, with 1,000 watts of the lamp, that's still only 2.5%. But 2.5%, 1,000 lights, it'll save you $15,000 a year in power. It's worth it.
If you haven't seen the lights, just pause the podcast now and go and Google Revolution DEva, DEva, because what you'll notice as well about the design of the lights is that they're really slimline, they're really flat compared to a lot of other double-ended lights, low profile. So the benefit there, meaning if you with most other double-ended lights, you'd need a minimum of 2.2 meters in height. With Revolution, if you had 2.1, you could get away with it because it's so streamlined, it's so low profile. You can get them higher up, close to the ceiling, and they're running efficiently, they're running cooler. The control you've got is phenomenal as well. Really easy to use. I set it up, and I'm not the best at setting up brand new stuff without any instructions. So you've made it really user friendly as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. My thought with software is when most people try electronic devices and they say, oh, I don't like this. They're doing it because the programmer didn't think the way they do. My thought is, if this is how somebody would guess how it would work, well, make it work that way. You know, rather than try and make you think the way I think, it's like, I'm going to try and figure out, what would somebody guess if they looked at this? Oh, yeah, click, click, click. There's only 4 screens. I mean, most people figure it out in, a couple of minutes. There's a manual, but I don't think anybody's ever read it. I always want to put, like, at the bottom of page 6, this is page intentionally left blank. There's things I want to tell you, we're just not going to, because nobody will ever call, You don't need the manual.
Part of why the software is so easy to use is because Greg was in software dominating it for about 10 years.
Almost 15.
Almost 15.
Well, I was in 15. We were kicking serious bootage for 10 years. So, yeah.
So for grow shops that listen in the UK, distributed through MaxiGrow. How long have you been in the UK for? How long have you had your lights in the UK for?
About 2 years now with Maxi. They're a good bunch. We were hanging out with them the other day. They're pretty cool. Yeah. And we went to a couple of stores, with the Maxi guys and showing the lights around, showing the new lights, and talking to the people. I've got one guy who's in 240 of the Divas, and he's just loving them. And he's reporting the same thing everybody else is. They don't break.
Tell everybody globally, how many returns has Revolution had since you started the company globally?
Globally, you mean out of everything we've ever shipped, ever, to all countries, less than 10 units.
10.
Yeah.
And that's like containers and containers, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of lights, and they've been built to last. There's a certain specification within the light. It's rated to 36 years. What is that?
It's when you design something electronic, because my background is in aerospace, I have things that fly overhead that you use all the time. And it's like what you do is you calculate mean time between failures, MTBF. And this is something that you can calculate. And if you think, well, how do you do that? So you know how you've been paying for a car for 5 years and at year 6 is when all the problems start? Trust me, they can calculate this. We do this. Yeah. And MTBF on most lights is 5 years because it has a 3-year warranty. And you want most of them to make it. We designed this instead of how cheap can we build it. I tried how good can we build it. And the MTBF on the light is 36 years. We've got 4 things in places where most guys have 2. We use 1,000 volt rated components where most people use 400 because I don't want them to break. So far, Maxi has never had a return. Biofluorel never had a return.
We also have a 3-step Q&A process, or a quality assurance process. Can you tell me about
true.
that?
Our stuff is built. It's tested first. The circuit board is tested on what we call the bed of nails, and these little gold probes touch everything and measure everything in correctly. Then next thing is functional tests. Another robot test it, bring it up to full power. I want to see full brightness. What is your current? What is your voltage at every point in the circuit? What are the frequencies? What are they doing? Is this correct? It says yes. Then 2 separate departments. A person will actually plug it in, test it, light it, program it. Yes, it works. So by the time it leaves the factory, 2 robots and 2 people have checked it to make sure, that it works. So far, we've not had a single one didn't work out of the box. And very, very, very few returns. Some of the returns, I got to tell you, they're obvious. I've got 3 that are lightning damage. Obviously, the front end's melted. The cord is vaporized. It's like, I don't know what did that, but it wasn't us. And we have one I know for a fact because their order when it came through is 277 volts. Yeah. But the sample I sent them was 240, 120, 240. It ran for a month. But kaboom, that was the end of that one. Fuse blows inside. It says, okay, I'm done.
Where is your manufacturing facility? Because it's in a different place than most people's manufacturing facilities.
It's true. We're outside of Bangkok, a place called Soma Prakan, and it's in Thailand.
Yeah. And I've seen your factory. It looks immaculate. Like you could eat your dinner off that floor. Is that something that is just standard within Thailand manufacturing facilities, or is that the way you just like to run yours?
That's this shop. We also, I fool around with audio all the time. I was just talking to your guy about it. And, we make speakers for fun. And the speaker company, we said, hey, unless you can bring this factory up to what we would consider fair trade standards, I'm sorry, we won't work with you. So you can't have guys painting without masks. Yeah. So this place, no, it's ISO 9001, 14001 also. 9001 means that your process is controllable. 14,001 means that you make a smaller environmental footprint every year. So it's very, very high spec. We've even got a clean room. We could build a satellite if you wanted one.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know Thailand actually makes most of the world's disk drives and are known for their high quality work.
Thailand's a lot like Japan. They make the high-tech, expensive stuff. Disk drives are awful. They're very hard to make. There's very, very tight tolerances. And when the floods came to Bangkok a couple of years ago, it's like all the manufacturers, Apple, Dell, everybody's back-ordered because they can't get the disk drives at a BKK.
Yeah. There's a big issue as well now that with the USA have now imposed a 25% extra tax on imports from China. So anything that's being made in China is now going to have a price hike. Unless the manufacturers can swallow some of that, maybe 5-10%, maybe the wholesaler can swallow some of that, 5-10%, yet you're still going to see between a 5 and 10% increase in lights coming from China to the US. So the costs are going up. That's not the case in Thailand. It's all going to stay what the price is today.
Yeah, there's going to be no change. The 2 major distros in the U.S. both put out letters saying, get ready. Yeah. Prices are going to go vertical. Yeah. Well, since we don't manufacture in China, we manufacture in Bangkok, our prices aren't going up. It's almost, it's just something we don't have to worry about. Yeah. It's I like Thailand. Like I said, we lived there full time for 3 years. I understand the culture. I get the Thai people. They're a good bunch.
Yeah. America also has a very healthy trade agreement with Thailand.
Oh, yeah. They have a Treaty of Amity in 1964. It was signed by our, I almost said because I was in Thailand, it's like by our previous king. But by King Bumblebole, they signed an Amity Treaty with the Americans. So they not only don't have any tariffs, they have most favored status, which is nice. If you're an American in Thailand, you can open a business just like a Thai national could. And the same if you're Thai and you come to the U.S. So it's the exact opposite of what's going on with China. They're not fighting at all.
Yeah. So before sort of I talk about your history, which is super interesting, I just wanted to mention the LEDs and the ceramic metal halides that you've got coming out. The LED we've got in front of us, it is super bright, and actually before we're going to leave them on a cliffhanger, so we're going to talk about the LED and the ceramic metal halides in a minute. And the reason I'm so excited about it is because of Greg's engineering prowess. Where did you begin? And there's two things that I see on your website. You built a plane.
That's true.
Motherfucker built a plane.
Yeah, you
and
did.
Only person in the world to ever do so and live.
and you built a hydroelectric dam.
That's
So
true.
you thought, when I land my plane I've built, I want free electricity. I thought, I'm going to have to build a hydroelectric dam.
Pretty much. It's like
As you do.
Well, yeah. It's like, yes, I'm that cheap. It's like power. I don't think so. We used to joke about a Shoal Creek Power and Light powering one house nationwide. But in 15 years off grid, and every once had a blackout, my neighbors would come down there. Hey man, can I use your washing machine because the power lines are down with the ice storm? It's been a week. So, yeah, come on, have some coffee, man. Lights are on here.
Greg can build motorcycles, cars, bridges, roads, and pyramids.
Yeah, pyramids, you got to get a lot of help, unless they're really, really small. But my buddy Wayne actually did build a scale model of the Great Pyramid for his house, and I did some of the structural work on that way back.
Well, I'm going to tell you off because we need to see more of this work on your website. We want to see everything you do as an engineer put on the website so people can just admire your work.
Oh, wow. They're going to probably see some very strange stuff. The speakers are strange. A lot of the hydro stuff is a little bizarre. Hydroelectric.
Yeah.
But we've got some neat stuff. I think people probably dig it. The speakers are my favorite fun project right now. I tried to have them flown in so they could be rocking you here, but DHL said 6 days. We only had 5, so it didn't happen. But they're really cool. They're full-range drivers, but they're 15-inch full-range drivers. So you've got one eardrum on each side. You got one cone on each side. Everybody closes their eyes and says, wow, it's not like they're right here. And when I say make the speakers, it's not like we built the boxes. We pressed the paper cones and cast the basket, wind the voice coil. We made this stuff. They sound righteous. I have to get you set up here. Just ran out of time.
Greg's passion is pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and if that's not what he's doing, he's not really interested.
Well, I'd like to say rewrote, but I'm sure there's a better word. The cabling or the electric wiring for a series of planes, didn't you? What was that all about?
That was interesting. Years and years ago, when I built my airplane, they'd all sit down and these guys would be building kits, and they would sit down and engineer the electrical system from scratch. This is really hard. I said, instead of buying 4 kinds of coaxial cable, why don't you buy one reel of this kind and use all of it? And why don't you use PTCs, positive temperature coefficient devices, instead of all these breakers? In my airplane, which is a 2-seater jet, it was a little crazy. It only had 5 switches instead of the usual rack of craziness in a plane. And it started in with all the, flat panel nav stuff and the inertial navigation and all the things that are common in cars. We were doing that back in the 90s. And it's cool stuff. But it instead of going 300 different ways, it's like, hey, here's one way that works for everybody. Try this. And, of course, people say, oh, no, it won't work. And now guess what? It's the way it's done. Industry standard. Everybody does it that way.
So
Boeing
you
does it
set
that way.
the industry standard for
Pretty much.
how many planes?
All the light aircraft are built that way now. That's just, if you show somebody a better way, the first thing they're going to say is, well, I don't want to change. And the second thing they're going to say is, well, that seems to work better. And the third thing is like, well, haven't we always done it like this?
Also, most of Greg's projects and inventions are open source.
Yeah, that's true. Like my hydroelectric plant, I did a cross-flow turbine for water. And I don't sell those. If I'm not going to sell it, if it's not my business, I put it all on the internet and let anybody have it. Guys still make these turbines, and every once in a while they send me a picture. It's like it's always the same. People posed real stiff, and the water turbine and the lights are on. It's like, hey, cool. It's like, where is that? I don't know, man. It's like thinking northern India. I have to look at the postmark, but it's there's actually an outfit in India that still makes these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're if you publish your calculations in MATLAB, nobody can read it. If you publish it in an Excel spreadsheet and say, hey, dude, type in your numbers and do it like this, if you can cut and weld, you can build something for $200 that'll light your village. That's worth doing. So hey, let people do it.
How would people access your designs for the turbine? Are they online?
Oh yeah, you can just go to my old website at gregrichter.com, and they're there. They've got pictures of the jet and the calculations of the water turbine. There's a portrait of me welding the penstock, pizza ovens. My hair's all black, and it's like 10 years, oh God, almost 15 years ago now. Yeah. But it's old pictures. We even built it, like Marissa said, we even built a pizza oven. It was a blast, one brick at a time. I thought if some guy in the 4th century can do it, well, we can do it. Apparently those guys in the 4th century were pretty good masons. It was hard. Yeah. I actually had cracks in it, and I had to stuff Marissa in there because I'm too big to go up in there. So I'm like, it's like, why are you stuffing your wife in the oven? It's like, haven't you read the legends? You know this has to happen. So... It was but anyway, she's up in there, caulking this thing with that, aluminum, whatever it is.
The things I do for you.
Yeah, truly.
So people have potentially got an insight into why I've been following Revolution Lights and Greg and Marissa for over 3 years now. Before Maxi got it in, we were like, I hadn't even tested lights or seen a light for 18 months, and people were like, why are you so into this light? I'm like, I'm not into the light, I'm into the person behind the light. If he can build a motherfucking jet, imagine the type of light he's going to build. And that leads me on to the LED light that you've just brought to the show. What's different about it, and what have you done? We know what you've done with the double-ended lights. What are you bringing to the LED world?
We bring a capital T truth to the LED world. One of the things you see in LEDs is this weird thing of equivalent watts, which means exactly nothing. Yeah, really. People say, oh, you can use a 600-watt light, and it'll do just like a 1,000-watt sodium. No, it won't. Said no grower ever, right? Yeah. So what we did is I built an LED light, the Avisi, that is brighter than a DE by quite a bit. It draws 1,150 watts at the wall at full chat. You can dim it to 28, and you can also change the colors. I've got 4 presets: clone, veg, flower, finish. So it's simple. Use the same controller, just touch, touch, touch. And you don't like my presets? Put it in flex and say, make them what you want. But it's bright, it's high power, and it's horrifyingly low cost. It's $8.99 US for 2,300 micromole.
That's retail.
That's retail,
$8.99. So I don't know off the top of my head, £800 UK, even slightly less. That's phenomenal. Now, as well as the LED light, Greg's just going to do a quick conversion so we can tell our UK growers how much they can.
That's £700.
£700.
£700, yeah. 720, something like that. I get.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know the exchange rate, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, that's amazing, because a lot of LEDs, and what puts people off from LEDs is that the expense of them. They're very expensive, and in the summer when you have to replace your HPS with LEDs, if you've got to replace 4 lights with good LEDs, you could be looking at £4,000. So having a low-cost, high-power LED is phenomenal.
It's a big thing, because if you look right now and you say, okay, we're not going to talk about who, but people, if you look at the big guys in the market, you say, okay, that's $1,800, $1,000 over, and it's less. It's a third dimmer, so we're 50% brighter, half the price. Why would you not? And you say, well, the LED is more expensive than the HPS. Well, second time you change that lamp in the HPS, you could have bought the LED. So it's like, if you're going to run them for 18 months, this will pay for itself. And it uses 15% less electricity for the same number of micromoles out. I always look at it and say, how many dollars per micromole are you paying for your lighting? An HPS fixture, 23 cents. PVC, 32 cents. Most LEDs, $1 and something. It's just very expensive, and we're kind of going to change that. I mean, LEDs don't have to be expensive. The way we do it is, people ask, well, whose drivers do you use? I said, mine. It's like, we don't buy stuff and bolt it together. We design what we need, no more and no less. And it's easier.
It's easy for the Avicii.
Yeah.
When, how can people see the Avicii? What is it on the website? What's the website so everyone can start having a little look at some of the products that you've got?
You can see it on revmicro.com, revmicro.com. And, of course, we've been posting videos on Instagram and our Facebook page. And we've got pictures of us over at Maxi firing it up. And now it's blue, now it's red, now it's really, really bright. And it's like this, and now it's dim. And, just change it everywhere.
Yeah. You've got a really cool idea as well. You don't know if you're going to do it yet, but for a little bit of extra programming, throwing in some sensor in there and making it go whoop, 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 and doing all. That's my noise for how lights flash to music. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Disco boogie.
Disco boogie mode. Steve and I were kicking this around yesterday. It would cost like 30 cents to put a really cheap microphone on there, and you just send a little Easter egg command to it to say, listen to the bass and have it thump to the music. I mean, next time you have a party in your grow room, on trim day, it's like, hey man, slap the bass and watch the lights get down.
Nobody has a party on trim day. Nobody parties on trim day. A few days after, that's the party day. We call it trim jail. It's not a good place to be.
Truly it is.
The ceramic metal halide.
Yeah.
It's the third light, and I haven't seen it yet, but hopefully get my hands on it in the next few months. Or
I've got it. It's in the car.
Oh,
we just got to go get there.
Oh, stop the podcast. Let's go now. Look at it. You see Cody turn around dead quick then.
Quick, to Junkmobile.
Oh, look, it's the guy with the football. The Growers Wholesale turned up. Don't let them anywhere near footballs. Listen, you know what you should have said? It was a planned target, because that shot would have been phenomenal. Yeah, so Rich from Growers Wholesale was having a bit of fun with the football, and 60-yard, bend it like Beckham, battered me on the side of the head, 11 o'clock in the morning, and it was great for me because he spent the next of the day offering me hats, food, drinks. So
Awesome.
The ceramic metal halide then, tell me about it.
What we did is we built on the same Diva chassis, because Diva's already a low-frequency square wave. It'll run ceramic metal halides, HPS, about anything you put in there. Instead of 100 kilohertz, it's 140 hertz. It's super low frequency. So people who are running double-ended CMHs in the Diva, it's like, wow, they last a long time. Yeah, because it's a low-frequency driver like you're supposed to have. So a lot of people wanted a smaller one, a 630. So what we did is we took the same chassis and swapped out the lamp holders for two Philips 315s in that same Diva reflector. So same shape, same size, same everything. And we got a ballast built for 1,200 watts, running 6. Now the Diva runs cool. You can put your face on it after 4 hours anywhere on the case. This thing runs so cool, you can't tell it's on hardly, except for the lamps.
What? With the 1,000 watt ceramic metal halide, I've never used something that powerful before. I don't think people realised or even thought 1,000 watt ceramic metal halide was possible. But is this possible because of the low frequency?
Because of the low frequency, we had a guy actually out of the U.S. is Mississippi, Culturelux, and they sent us some samples, and they work pretty well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he said the biggest problem is they put him in, these 100 kilohertz fixtures, and they don't live long. Well, you put them in our fixtures, and they do, because they're designed to run a low frequency. It's a resonance thing.
Yeah.
You'll shake them to pieces.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if you want to design a ballast to drive anything, go low frequency. That's why GE does it for everything they make. That's why all the Philips low power stuff is all low frequency. That's why all the ceramic is low frequency. If you read an IEEE, Institute of Electronics Engineers, and their lighting stuff, all the ballast designs that the PhD students are writing their dissertations on, they're all low frequency. I mean, that's how it's done. The only reason you build a high frequency ballast is because it's cheaper. It's not better. It's harder on the bulbs. It's harder on everything. It costs less.
Was low frequency, is low frequency not a new technology? It's an old technology that, like with houses and with cars, they were all houses built in the 1900s are still standing today.
True.
Cars that were built back in the day lasted for 20, 30, 40 years. Now everybody's gone cheaper, allowing more people to buy the products, so they've gone high frequency.
Some people would even say that's called planned obsolescence.
I like that word. Say that again.
Planned obsolescence.
Yeah, that's a cool word.
It means it'll last 15 minutes past the warranty card.
And that's the way everything's made these days. It's really sad, but we have to buy extra warranties because we know how things are going to break. So is low frequency, was that the old school way of doing things to make sure things lasted a lot longer?
The original way was core and coil, which is 60 cycles, or 120 cycles. But it's, in this case, low frequency is the way the lamps are designed. The perfect way to run a lamp like this is on DC. Frequency equals 0. Problem is, everything inside the lamp electroplates down to one end and it stops. So alternate it just fast enough you don't see a flicker. It's really running on DC is the secret of it.
Yeah.
So it's like you look at it, it looks like a square wave. Yeah. Car headlights, low frequency square wave if they're HID. All the lighting that you see in buildings, that's, for jewelry cases, places that sell high-end stuff, and you want that crisp color, all low-frequency square wave. Hortilux had a nice low-frequency square wave rig out a few years ago, but it's $1,000. The reason you don't see it at this power level is it's hard to do, technically difficult. So it's like, easier to just say, hey, just copy that old fluorescent design and crank it up.
Yeah.
So easier.
You've designed a really lovely controller as well. The controller with the double-ended Revolution lights, is it 512 lights that they control?
It is. You can do 512 lights split in two zones of 254 each. And people always ask, well, how far can you run the wire? Because a lot of the other ones are old school analog, DMX 0 to 10 volt kind of deal, and you can only run not so far, and you can't run many lights. So we can run 512. And somebody once asked, customer says, well, how far can you run it? So we got 3 5,000-foot reels of cable and wrapped it around the parking lot, and we demonstrated. I can show you 3 miles.
We need to create a video of that. We need to do this.
Man, I don't want to run 3 miles of wire again. That in the sun in Bangkok. We'll do it here where it's nice and cool.
Yeah, it's always cool. Yeah, we get like a couple of months of. This summer's been really, really nice. Not so nice for our indoor growers, but it's pretty cool here. So we need to set that up and do that in the next year sometime. We need to show everyone how we can set up this, how far away that they can be from each other.
We just roll it down the M1, for 3 miles, and say, what are they doing over there? It looks like a light. Oh, okay, sure.
It'll take you ages. The 50-mile-an-hour zones are a killer on the M1.
so I've noticed. I see.
The controller as well. Will that control? Obviously it controls 512 lights. Will that also control the LED and the ceramic metal halide?
I like the idea of backwards compatibility. Anything I make, if you plug it in and if the plug fits, it runs. So if you have 10 Avices and you have Divas and you have a couple of CMHs, I don't know why I'd put them all in the same room, but if you did, and you say, everyone, go to 70%, they all dim. If you say, I want you to change spectrum, the Avici changes spectrum, and the Diva says, sorry, cannot. And it's like... So
Diva says no.
Diva say no. So it's like you can't do it. But if the commands come in, if it's capable to follow, it follows. If it cannot, it cannot. Like, for example, the CMH doesn't report certain things back that the Divas do. Like, this is the nice thing about having a digital protocol. I can say, what's your voltage? What's your current? How many times have you tried to strike so far and have failed? How long has your lamp been running? If you change lamps, your burning voltage changes significantly. I can tell you change lamps so I can reset. We can do a lot because they're always chattering back and forth to each other. If you got 100 lights in a room, yeah, okay. You got 1,000, there's always 10 that don't work and you never know why. This way you can say, where does it hurt? Show me.
That's good stuff. Now, if anybody wants to follow Revolution Micro, you're really good on Instagram, so you get to see all the pictures, all the reviews. You're doing really well in the US. Some big medicinal grows in the US. Follow them. Follow them for the UK grows. Twitter, Facebook. You're everywhere, so give them a follow and check out what Revolution are doing and how they're changing the lighting industry. Is there anything else you'd like to say to all the listeners?
Not me. I'd be dangerous. Marisa told me, don't say anything outrageous, so I'm trying my best.
Can we think of anything outrageous? If you haven't seen Greg, he looks like a young Steven Seagal. And you do martial arts as well.
Look at that. Now, that's polite. I thought you were going to say he looks like somebody who's misplaced his Harley. It's like, yeah,
right.
True.
Thank you very much. It's been an honour. It's been a long time coming. Thank you very much
sir.
For doing the podcast.
Always
Greg
good.
And Marissa, love from NPK, love from all the listeners. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And
thanks for having us on, bro.
We'll catch up again with you soon.
Bye, man.
Right, to all listeners, thank you very much. We're at Autopot Festival, and we'll see you soon. Take care and have a great rest of the summer. Bye-bye.